So last week we introduced the idea of multiplying polynomials. It was the day we did multiplying in back then, so Thursday. Now the multiplying that we did on Thursday is we would have like 2x times x plus 4. And you just distribute the 2x and then you multiply. Now, what we're going to find out is that there's three kind of main types of multiplying when it comes to multiplying polynomials. And only one of them uses the distributive property, and really just the distributive property. What we're going to do today is going to kind of encompass the other types, and then tomorrow we're just going to kind of talk about special cases, so similar to what we're doing today, but just kind of specific problems. So what we're going to do today is we're multiplying binomials today. So if you remember from our super important vocabulary in section 8.1, a binomial, the bi means two, nomial means term. So I'm multiplying two terms, 2x plus 4, by two terms, 3x minus 7. Now this is different than whenever we just multiplied one term, right? Because last week it would have just been 4 times 3x minus 7. And for that, all you have to do is distribute the 4. That's it. Now, as it turns out, really when you're multiplying binomials, it's kind of just the distributive property 2 times. What you're going to end up doing is you're going to distribute the 2x into this set of parentheses, and then you're going to turn around and distribute the 4 into that set of parentheses. That's really all you're doing. Now, it's easy to get lost when we're doing this, so you may, did I actually distribute that term? Where am I at? So kind of to lose your place with what you're ready to distribute. So we have two methods for multiplying binomials, and I don't care which methods you use. It's usually about a 50-50 split, whether people like the FOIL method or people like the box method. Okay, so let's start with the FOIL method. So FOIL is just an acronym that just tells you multiply the first terms, multiply the outer terms, inner terms, the last terms. That's all that means. So you're going to multiply 4 things. Okay, so when it says multiply the first terms, okay, that's the first terms in both sets of parentheses. So the first term in this first set of parentheses is 2x. The first term in this set of parentheses is 3x. So what you're doing is you're distributing the 2x, but you're going to take 2x times 3x, which is 6x squared. Okay, the O is for outer. So on the outside of your parentheses. So the outside on this side is the 2x. The outside on this side is the negative 7. You have to remember to include the signs. So you're going to take 2x times negative 7, which is negative 14x. Okay, the I is just kind of the opposite. So we go from the outside to the inside. So you are going to multiply those two inside terms right here, the 4 and the 3x. So 4 times 3x would be a plus 12x. And then the L is for the last terms. So the last term in the first set of parentheses, multiply that by the last term in the second set of parentheses. So you're going to take 4 times negative 7, which is a negative 28. So first, outer, inner, last. Now what you have to do most of the time, almost all of the time, this is not your answer because you always want to make sure your answer is in the simplest form. So if you can combine any like terms, you want to do that. Now remember, like terms have to have the exact same variable part. So the 6x squared can only be combined with another x squared. I've got an x, but they're not x squareds. I can't combine that 6x squared with anything else. But these middle terms, this negative 14x and plus 12x, the O, the outer terms, and the I, the inner terms, they will almost always be able to be combined together. Not all of the time, but almost all of the time. So to combine these together, remember we're going to take negative 14 plus 12, which is negative 2x. And then my minus 28 will just come at the end. Okay, so that's the FOIL method. The FOIL method. Okay, the other method is called the box method. Now what I want you to notice for the box method, this is the same problem that we just did. So we should get the same answer, but I'm going to show you how to get the same answer using a different method. What I'll tell you about the FOIL method is I feel like the FOIL method is maybe easier, but the box method I think is easier, but the FOIL method is quicker, if that makes sense, okay? And I don't care which method you use. So for the box method, first thing you're going to do is you're going to draw your box. So when you draw your box, you're going to look at what you're multiplying, and you're going to count how many terms are in the first set of parentheses and how many terms are in the second set of parentheses. So I have 2 terms here, and I have 2 terms here. So your box is going to be a 2 by 2 box. So what I mean by that, you're going to have 2 boxes on the top and 2 boxes on the side. Now it has to be 2 by 2 because what you're going to do is you're going to write one factor on the top and the other one goes down the side. So you're going to take 2x plus 4, and you're going to put 2x plus 4. Make sure you include the signs. And down the other side, you're going to put your other factor, 3x minus 7. Make sure you include that 7 is negative. It's not a positive sign. Okay, now what you're going to do, you're going to fill in the boxes by multiplying. So how you're going to do that, to fill in this box, you are going to multiply 3x times 2x. Okay, so 3x times 2x is 6x squared. 3 times 2 is 6, x times x is x squared. To fill in this box, you are going to multiply 3x by 4. So where you're getting those numbers from? So 3x times 4 would be 12x. To fill in this box, you're going to take 2x times a negative 7. See where the signs are important? So 2x times negative 7 is a negative 14x. And then for the last box, you're going to multiply negative 7 by a positive 4. So negative 7 times positive 4 is negative 28. Now once you do the multiplying part to get your answer, which should look like the other one, it should be a polynomial, you're just going to add all of these terms together. Now remember on the last one I said you want to combine like terms? Most of the time the O and the I, those 2 middle terms are going to combine together. Most of the time with the box method, these 2 terms will almost always be combined together. Notice they're both x's. Now we always want to write our answer in standard form, so we're going to start with our 6x squared. I'm going to combine my x's, doing the same thing we did above, negative 14 plus 12 is a negative 2x, and then that minus 28 comes at the end. So notice, same exact answer. And like I said, I think the box method is maybe a little bit easier, but the FOIL method tends to be a little bit quicker. Okay, so you can choose which one you want to use. All right, questions on that? Okay, let's get this glued into page 19. This is section 8.3, and we are multiplying binomials. What I might suggest you do for the first couple of them, maybe go back and forth with me, do the FOIL method and then the box method, and then if you feel more called to use one of them, then maybe try sticking with that method. What most people do is they usually pick one method and stick with it. Some students will go back and forth. I know for me personally, I use the FOIL method for most of them, but there are some problems where I think it's easier to use the box method, and I'll kind of talk about those things. But I'll give you plenty of practice with both of these. So for the first one, I'm going to do the FOIL method. Like I said, I would suggest at least try it. And if you're pretty sure you want to use the box method, maybe just try it. And then number 2, we'll do the box method. So number 1 says y minus 3 times y plus 8. So for the FOIL method, 4 things you have to multiply. First thing, the first term in each set of parentheses. So the first terms are y and y. So you're going to multiply those together. So y times y is y squared. Okay, F-O, the O, outside, the outside term. So make sure you're including the signs. You would take y times 8, which is just a positive 8y. After the O is I, F-O-I, which is inner or inside. These two middle terms right here. Okay? Now, make sure you're including the signs because you have to take negative 3 times y, which is a negative 3y. And then the L is the last terms. So in each set of parentheses, the last term, negative 3 and a positive 8, you're going to multiply those together. Negative 3 times a positive 8 is a negative 24. And then you always want to make sure your answer is in simplest form. So like I was saying on the left-hand side, most of the time you're going to be able to combine together those two middle terms. Notice they're both y's. The first term is the y squared, cannot be combined together with the y, so we're going to leave that a y squared. 8y minus 3y, you would do 8 minus 3, which is a positive 5y, and then our minus 24 at the end. Okay, for number 2, I will do the box method. So, like I said, I might encourage you at least try the box method for at least one problem, even if you're pretty sure you want to use the FOIL method, just so you know how to use it if you need it. So number 2 says 3p plus 4 times 2p plus 5. Okay, so for the box method, you're going to first draw your box. So I have two terms, 3p plus 4, and two terms, 2p plus 5. So your box is going to be 2 by 2. So you're going to draw one vertical line, one horizontal line. So you have 2 boxes and 2 boxes. And it doesn't matter which one you put on the top and which one you put on the side. You're going to get the same answer either way. So if I put the 3p plus 4, don't forget about the plus 4, on the top, that means I'm going to put the 2p plus 5. And make sure you're putting that plus 5 in front of the 5. Okay. Then to fill in your box, we're going to multiply. So for that first box, we're going to take 3p times 2p. So 3p times 2p is 6p squared. The second box here is 2p times 4. 2p times 4. 2 times 4 would be 8, and then we have the p. This box down here is going to be 3p times 5. So 3p times 5, the 3 times 5 would be 15, and then we have the p at the end there. And then this last box here would be 5 times 4. 5 times 4 would be a 20. And then to get your answer, you're going to add all of these together. Now keep in mind, I can't actually combine them all together because they're not all like terms. But usually with the box method, usually that diagonal there will be the like terms. So we always want to write our answer in standard form. So we want to start with the 6p squared. 8p and 15p would give me a plus 23p. And then we have the plus 20 at the end. Okay, for number 3, I'm going to go back to the FOIL method. If you really think you're going to use the box method, try the box method. You can still kind of follow along using the box method as we do the FOIL method because you're going to get the same for FOIL. Those are going to be the same terms that you're going to put in your boxes, so you can kind of follow along and check with this as you go. Okay, so number 3, let's do x plus 4 times 4x minus 5. Okay, so I'm going to do the FOIL method, so it starts with an F, the first terms. So the first terms are x times 4x, which is going to give me 4x squared. The O, the outer terms, the outside terms are the x and the minus 5. Don't forget the sign. So x times negative 5, that's just going to give me negative 5x. FOI, the I is the inside terms, which is going to be that 4 and the 4x, the ones that are just right next to each other. So 4 times 4x, 4 times 4 is 16, and then we'll throw the x at the end there. And then L for the last terms. Make sure you're including your signs would be 4 times negative 5, which would be a negative 20. And then to make sure your answer is in simplest form, notice, once again, that O and the I, the two middle terms, we can combine those together. So we're going to have our 4x squared. Negative 5 plus 16 is going to be plus 11x. And then we have our minus 20. Okay, for number 4, I'm going to do the box method. But if you really think you're going to do the FOIL method, maybe try the FOIL method and see if you get the same answer. So number 4 says 9z plus 4 times 5z minus 3. So for the box method, once again I have 2 terms by 2 terms. So we're going to draw a 2 by 2 box. I'm going to put the 9z plus 4 on the top, and then that 5z minus 3. Guys, this is super important if you're going to use the box method. That negative has to go in front of the 3. Okay? And then I'm going to multiply to fill in the box. So this first one would be 5z times 9z. 5 times 9 is 45. Z times z is z squared. So I like the box method because you can kind of take it a little slower. Okay, this next box would be 5z times 4. So the 5 times 4 would be 20z. Okay, this box down here, 9z times negative 3. So 9 times negative 3 would be negative 27z. And then my last box, negative 3 times 4 would be negative 12. And then whenever I add all of these together, notice, like I kind of mentioned, the only things I can combine are those two. So we're going to start with the 45z squared, 20z, and negative 27z. Negative 27 and 20 gives me negative 7z, and then my minus 12. Okay, so show of hands. How many of you like the FOIL method? Box method? No box method, people? Oh, breaking my heart, guys. Okay. Now, what I mentioned in the beginning is I said, I personally use the FOIL method almost all of the time, except for certain problems, okay? For so far, and most of the problems that you're going to do today are going to be 2 by 2, like we've seen so far. But some of them are going to get a little bit bigger, so you might have 2 terms times 3 terms. For those problems, those are the ones that I tend to do the box method for, just because there's more terms, there's more things you have to multiply. But I'll show you how you can still do the FOIL method with these as well. So let's try one of those. I'll show you how to do this one with the FOIL method. And then number 6, I'll show you a similar one about how to do the box method. So number 5 says x plus 5, so notice 2 terms, times x squared plus 3x minus 1. Notice that one has 3 terms. Okay, so for this first one, I'm going to show you how to do the FOIL method. But before I do the FOIL method, I want to kind of warn you that it's not actually the FOIL method. Because watch this. You don't have to actually do this, okay? If I just did FOIL, I want you to watch what happens, okay? If you did F, the first terms, O, the outside terms, I, the inside terms, and then L, the last terms, what's the problem with doing FOIL, Holly? I didn't do anything with the 3x, and it's there. It's important. You have to include the 3x. So if you're going to do the FOIL method, when it gets bigger, you can't really do the FOIL method. But keep in mind what I said at the very beginning. All the FOIL method is, it just tells you specifically how to do the distributive property. That's all it is. So what you're going to do here is you are going to distribute the x to all of these terms. And then you're going to turn around and you're going to distribute the 5 to all of those terms. So it'll look like this. So you're going to take x times x squared, which is x cubed. And then you're going to distribute the x to the 3x. You take x times 3x, which is a plus 3x squared. And then you would take x times negative 1, which is just a negative x. Now you're going to turn around, you're going to do the same thing with the 5. So you're going to multiply the 5 times x squared. So 5 times x squared is a plus 5x squared. And then you're going to distribute the 5 to the 3x. So 5 times 3x is plus 15x. And then you're going to distribute the 5 to the negative 1. So 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. So it's just the distributive property. Now when you're ready to combine like terms, remember we talked about this last week, this x cubed can only be combined with other x cubes. I don't have any x cubed. I do have my plus 3x squared and my plus 5x squared, And I have, this is not going to work very well with these colors, I have my minus x and my plus 15x. And then lastly, I guess we have that minus 5 right there. So, when I combine these together, the x cubed is just going to stay x cubed. When you combine your x squareds, 3x squared plus 5x squared, remember you do 3 plus 5, which is plus 8x squared. When you're combining like terms, the variable part doesn't change. Negative 1x plus 15x, negative 1 plus 15 is plus 14x, and then we have the minus 5 at the end. Okay, so like I said, for these ones, I tend to do the box method just because that's a lot going on, okay? So let me show you how to do one using the box method, and you'll see what I mean. So number 6 says 2a squared plus 4a plus 5 times 5a minus 4. Now for the last ones with the box method, it was just a 2 by 2 box. This time my box is going to be a little bigger. Because here's the thing, if I'm going to write the terms on top of the box or on the side of the box, I have to have 3 terms, 3 boxes by 2 boxes. So it doesn't matter if you do 3 across and 2 up and down, or if you do 3 up and down and 2 across, it doesn't matter. But wherever your 3 boxes are is where you're going to put your 2a squared plus 4a plus 5, and then your 5a minus 4. Make sure you put the negative in front of the 4. We'll go down the side. And then just like the other ones, you're going to multiply to fill in. So 5a times 2a squared. I like this because you can take it a little slower. You can do 5 times 2, which is 10. A times a squared is a cubed. My next box is going across. 5a times 4a. 5 times 4 is 20. A times a is a squared. And then the last box, 5a times 5 would be 25a. Now that second row, we're going to multiply by negative 4. So negative 4 times 2a squared. Negative 4 times 2 would be negative 8a squared. Negative 4 times 4a. Negative 4 times 4 is negative 16a. And then that last box, negative 4 times 5 would be negative 20. Now what I like about the box method, so whenever we only add a 2 by 2 is usually the terms on the diagonals that can be combined together. So notice my a cubed is the only a cubed. But if you look at your a squareds, you can see how your a squareds are on the same diagonal, and your a's are on the same diagonal. So most of the time it'll work out that way. So we're going to start with our a cubed. So that 10a cubed is going to stay a cubed. To combine my a squareds, we take 20 minus 8, which is a positive 12a squared. To combine your a's, 25 and a negative 16 gives me plus 9a. And then we have the minus 20 at the end. Okay, I'm going to give you guys the last 2 to try on your own. Okay? We'll do a 2 by 2 and then a 3 by 2, so you can try both of them. So I'll write them on the board, and then I'll give you guys a head start, and then I'm going to, and then I'm going to work them out slowly on the board so you can kind of check as you go if you want. Okay, so number 7, 4w plus 13 times w plus 2. And then number 8 is going to be 3x plus 2 times 2x squared plus x minus 4. So I'll give you guys a little bit of a head start, and then I'll work it out slowly on the board so you can check as you go.